to Road to Immortal episode 26. Today we're actually going to be learning about the game. You guys have been complaining that I need to learn stuff. So, we definitely have someone who can teach me, and I have to call. I'm about to talk to him now. Hey, can you hear me? Shoot. Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? No? Yes? Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so let's just give a quick intro of, who you are. So, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, in Dota terms, I play a lot of Dota. Done about 6,000 games. I played IO for like 3,000 of those. Started off with about Guardian, and then played IO carry up until about 5,000 MMR. Then played support IO for a bit, then back to IO carry. And then recently I swapped over to playing gyrocopter support, and I'm at about 6,400 at the moment.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What's your peak MMR, or like peak Immortal rank?
Well, I was 6,690 like a few weeks ago when I was like trying, but now I've just gone down a bunch. I jumped up and down by hundreds. So, and that was like 2,400 on the leaderboard in Europe.
Oh, wow. Okay, so for you spectating, like, how do we have to get in the same party, or how's this work?
I have no idea.
Can we share replays? Or like, can you watch what I'm watching?
Maybe you'll have to share your screen on Discord.
I don't think I can do that when I'm streaming. Okay, wait, what if you just watch my stream? Because I don't think I can hold on, I can try. I don't think I can because of OBS.
Or I can...
Let's just see. Wait, can you see now?
Watch my... Wait. Okay, I can see your screen. Cool.
Okay. You can still see it, right?
Yeah, it's loading.
Okay. Awesome. By the way, I should have just said your name. Guys, if you've been watching for a while, this is Yamza. You've probably seen him on the channel a few times. So let's go ahead and we'll go to my player perspective. Okay, so I guess while the rune, business is going on, I'll ask you. So for laning phase, at least for not all characters, but like Mirana has like a really weak auto attack. You see like 49 damage, and people have like built-in armor and stuff. Other than trying to deny, like what's my objective in the lane? Like what is the objectives in laning phase for Dota? If that makes any sense. Because here, I'll
first of all,
okay, you go ahead.
What position are you?
Position 4 right now.
Okay, position 4. So you're going to be going to offlane, or are you?
I can't remember for this match. I'll play it in Spanish.
It looks like you're position 5 at the moment.
It could be. It's 4 or 5. But Okay, yeah.
We'll assume you're 5 because you've gone to the safe lane.
Right, okay.
So, what is your role? That's a good question. So you've got the 2 carries, well, 2 cores who are going to be farming, and they just want to get as many last hits as they can.
Oh, this was a good start. What the heck?
Oh yeah, that is a good start. Oh, yeah, you're going to get the kill. Ding!
Okay. So, I guess while, like, just general, like, laning stuff is going on, so in League of Legends, there's like, a few scenarios for laning. So, and each lane is completely different. So, mid lane is kind of, like, always being aggressive. Top lane can kind of go into a stalemate situation where they don't even really interact with, let's say, the enemy. They're just trying to get perfect farm. And they're actually, playing well because, they don't give the chance for the enemy laner to get a kill or, get any trades on them. They're just being extremely passive and whatever. And that usually works against, like, aggressive enemies. But the thing about, like, League laning is, you know when to push and when not to push. Like, obviously, if the enemy's not there, you push in this game, but there's reasons to push in League, even if they're there. The reason is because you want priority in your lane, so you can leave to go, get Dragon or Baron or, whatever's going on. But in this game, there's only, like, Roshan, and you don't get Roshan until, like, 15 minutes, unless you have, like, Death Prophet or something. So, what am I trying to do in the lane exactly? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, are we just trying to push, or like, what am I trying to do?
Well, pushing's pretty irrelevant because I don't know, taking a tower doesn't really give you too much of an advantage, and even if you push, you're not really going to take a tower unless you've got some hero who's specialized for it. What's more important is kind of getting farm and levels because that allows you to do more. And that's really the whole point of Dota, is get more powerful than your enemy. So, yeah, you've got the two cores who will be farming, getting experience and stuff. And your goal is just to come out on top of your enemies. So get more last hits than them and more experience. Well, it actually depends, because you get different lanes which have different strengths. So you'll get some lane matchups where you're just kind of like destined to lose. So if you come out in kind of like a draw at the end, you've done well. So you want to do better than you would be expected to do. So, yeah, you get some lanes where you have like late game heroes who are always going to lose the lane.
Right.
And then sometimes you'll get it where they actually do quite well and end up drawing the lane. But at lower levels, people don't realize that they should be losing the lane, so they don't realize that that's kind of like a victory, doing better than they should do. So they kind of give up, even though they're playing late game heroes. So you've got your two cores who are kind of like stuck to the creeps. They can't really leave the creep wave because they've constantly got to get the last hits.
Right. So wait, I want to ask this. So
yeah,
one thing that's way different in this game than League is, like, in League, there's a designated jungler pretty much. In this game, the jungle is not really that valuable, except for, wait, maybe I can ping? No. Here, I'll just go free camera. Okay, so, like, I think the only jungle camps that actually matter are, like, the small camp mid lane camp, right? Like, this one's important. The ancient camp's important, because those give, like, significant XP and gold, right? So I think it's this camp that matters, this camp that matters, and then the camps that are used for, like, blocking, right? So, like, that's why this guy put a ward here. So, other than, like, maybe if I'm supporting, I'm trying to, like, put a ward at those camps or something. And obviously, sometimes you want to kill jungle to get the neutral items. Like, what's the point of, like, or, like, what am I trying to say? Like, let's say I shove the lane and I have, like, something to do. Like, what would be the point of, like, warding their jungle anyway? We don't even care about, like, half the jungle. Or I don't know what I'm trying to say, but, like, it just seems like the jungle is almost pointless, right?
Okay, well, there's quite a few things going on in the jungle. So yeah, first of all, you've got the two jungle camps that are next to your lane, which are really important when you're supporting lane. So actually, most supports, the majority of the time, will just kind of like go hang out there. Like, I won't even be in XP range about half the time. It'll just be a war around those two things. Because basically in Dota, creep equilibrium in the lane is really important.
Okay.
If the creeps are near your tower, you can just sit under tower, get the bonus regen that towers give you, and you can't die. Because, I mean, they can't really tower dive you unless they're really way more powerful. And it's just a lot safer. And then also you can just kill the enemies a lot more easily because they're miles away from their tower.
So essentially where the creeps are, like, right... Well, I don't know why I keep moving the camera, but essentially, like, where they're at right now, that... Like, when they're hitting the creeps and they're not, like, taking damage from the tower, that's kind of where you want the wave to be. Like,
the close... Yeah,
like, if you could just control the wave, that's exactly where you'd want it for the whole game, pretty much.
So that's a huge part of what the support does, is keep the lane really close and then basically protect their carry. So yeah, you've got the two kind of neutral camps off to the side, and those are basically just useful for pulling, so you attack the camp, bring it back to your lane, and then your creeps will go and fight that camp for you, which does two things. One, you actually get the experience from the camp when your creep wave kills it, and you can get the last hits as well. And when the neutrals kill your creeps, you're denying the enemies that experience and gold if they're not around to take the last hits. And it means that the lane equilibrium comes back towards you. So that's really useful. So in lane, you want to be pulling whenever the lane gets too far ahead. So if you pulled here...
Yeah, like if I went back and pulled it. Okay.
Yeah.
So the whole point of... well, like, generally, obviously, you said, like, there's some characters where you do want to be pushing or, you know, doing something a little bit different, but, like, generally, you want to just be starving them by holding the creeps right near the tower, so it's like they have to risk getting a tower hit or, you know, they're way out of position if they want to deny or try to, like, farm, right? That's the whole point.
Yeah, you just want to keep creeps near your tower. It means you can't die, and, well, they can die because, you know, they're miles away from their tower.
So in this position where, like, I think the wave was actually kind of set up there, like, what would be the best thing that I could do? Is it what I'm doing now, like roaming around, or, like, should I go to a different lane and try to set up the wave, like how it was set up down there, or, like, what should I be doing in support?
Well, there's quite a few things you can do. If you have loads of time, you can go to the mid lane and try ganking there, although I usually never do that, because the heroes I play just are terrible. They're really, like, short range. Like Gyrocopter, you can't gank, it's terrible. One thing that's good to do is go get the runes from the enemy's position if you're in position 5. So in the enemy triangle, when the runes spawn, if you go take those, that's ridiculously good, because even at level 1, they give like 40 gold per hero.
Right.
5 heroes, that's 200 gold.
Yeah.
So if you take one rune that the enemies would have gotten, you're giving your team at the start of the game for 200.
Yeah, it's nearly a kill.
200 away from the enemy. Yeah, that's a 400 gold difference. And then I believe the next load will be a 500 gold difference. And then, you know, 600. That's more than a kill. Literally, you just walk over. Takes like 20 seconds. Take the rune from the enemy. Boom. You know, like a kill and a half, maybe 2 kills worth. And then
how
the enemy
often do the runes spawn this patch? Because they keep changing they change the times all the time. It used to be like every 5 minutes. Now it's, I want to say, like,
it's every 3 minutes now.
3 minutes? Okay.
And they changed it so that when they spawn, they don't remove the old rune, so they can, like, stack up.
Right, okay, I think I read that.
You get quite a lot of games now where people leave them for ages, so the supports don't go and take them. 1, because they're miles away from the lane, and 2, because they are usually left for the mid, so the mids like to, like, let them stack up, and then when they need to refill their bottle, they go and take them. So yeah, if you have time, go to the enemy triangle when you're position 5, take the rune, and then maybe also take a sentry, and then you can block their small creep camp by the wave.
Right.
So you see, like, to the right of the enemy tier 1 here, if you go block that camp.
Right, that's one of the like, important mid lane. Like, see, Death Prophet's farming it right now. Like, that's what the mid lane relies on for some extra gold and farm.
Yeah, because if you're getting all the last hits in the lane, you know, then the only way you can get more than that is by using one of the camps off to the side or getting kills. So if you spend 50 gold, like, you know, they get like 100 and something, I think, for every small camp. And if you block it for like 5 minutes, it's even longer actually. But if they miss 5 loads of them, you know, that's denying them 500 gold for 50. Sentry wards are actually ridiculously good, so I like to buy absolutely as many sentry wards as possible, and then when it's like 8 minutes into the game, when the laning stage ends, which in lower levels will be, you know, be later because everyone likes to hang around in the lane, I go and I just block all of their camps, and yeah, it's just a great strategy. You know, it's only 50 gold.
Okay, so I was gonna ask you. Well, this fight's not really important because we just have to leave, I think. But I was gonna ask, so, like, if you could rate the importance of, like, each thing that I'm doing, like, so, let's just say, like, Creep Wave is in the right position. That's one of the things. You know, stealing bounty runes, blocking camps, ganking, like, or, like, warding Roshan. Like, what are the importance of those 5 things in general? Like, don't go too much off, like, because, like, the heroes can totally change, you know, how the game is played. But, like, in general, how would you rate those things? Like, what's the most important?
God, I have no idea. It's a tricky one. Well, okay, first of all, ganking it really depends what you get out of it, because most ganks...
Let's just say if I were to, like,
if it
pretty
depends if you
much
get the
kill
kill or
them.
not.
Like, they
Well,
pretty much have to leave the lane, or they die. Like, it's like a
well, then
positive
that's
outcome.
definitely... Yeah, if you just walk straight to the mid lane, get a kill, and then go back, that's probably the highest importance. Although, if you leave your carry, who's in like a bad position, it depends what the lane is. Yeah, so if you leave your carry for like 10 seconds, sometimes in some lanes, they can just die. If they're a squishy carry and the lane's pushed forwards and the enemy's like got high kill potential.
So gank is like the highest reward, but the biggest risk?
If you... Yeah, leaving the lane's always risky, but if your carry is perfectly safe, so like you have a Medusa, she's pretty tanky, you know. If she's sitting under tower because the creeps are near your tower, then you're probably safe to go and leave and gank. And if you can get a kill from it, then yeah, it's pretty good. And then, of course, when you go for a gank, you can also block the enemy camp, take their rune. You can do loads in one go because you know it's on the way, so you get extra efficiency there.
Right. So every time I gank mid, I should just plan to try and block that camp. Is what you're saying? Like if I'm Mirana and I like shoot an arrow and I like even if I miss, I should just go try to ward the small camp.
Yeah. I mean, it's always worth it, pretty much. Even if they only like try to kill it once. Another thing, by the way, when you started, you didn't have much regen. I saw. That's
right. Okay. Yeah. So this is the thing I was gonna also ask you. So well, actually, my first item was Urn of Shadows, but like how important really is like buying Tango, because it only gives 7 regen, I thought, right? It's not that incredible.
Extremely important.
But but the thing is, like, well, like if you're support and let's just say that they bought, like your carry bought a healing salve, right? Healing salve is way better than Tango. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, it gives you less health per gold.
But the Tango costs 90, the Sal costs 110. And if I were to, let's say my first item's Tranquil Boots, right? Let's say my first item's Tranquil Boots.
Yeah.
Like, would I even bother buying a Tango? It seems like a waste of money.
Yeah, so sometimes if you get like a kill really early on and you've already bought a bunch of the components for Tranquil Boots, sometimes it is better to get Tranquil Boots instead of regen, but that's like really rare. At higher levels, the supports tend to, harass each other a lot more. Like, they'll constantly be attacking each other. And then, basically, one of them will run out of regen first, and then will just die or have to go back. A low-level 11 sort of just runs around and doesn't attack each other as much. But if you just buy a load of regen, and then just constantly trade with the enemy support, at lower levels, they're just bound to have bought less regen than you, and then, they'll run out of health, they'll have to like die or go back. So just buying more regen is just always better. And if you get like 1 kill, let's say, because the enemy just doesn't buy enough regen, even if you've spent like use 6 tangos, which is like 180 gold, you just get all of that back from the kill. Like, the cost of tangos is actually really low compared to what you get from getting a kill, because you have them. And then you can just buy more tangos and just constantly stay in lane. So, yeah, you should definitely buy a load of regen. At least like 6 tangos is usually like the absolute minimum amount. I usually buy, well, on Gyrocopter I buy like 6 tangos and then get another 3 sent to me. And then it totally depends what you need. Like, if I'm low, I'll get another 3 and another 3 and then sometimes another 3. And then clarity's absolute tons. Because the only way the enemy can really respond to it is by also buying some. So if you spend 90 gold on tangos and then trade with the enemy support, they're going to have to then spend 90 gold on tangos.
So I was going to say, so support obviously is not supposed to like be taking the farm, and then maybe like 25 minutes in you can start, or whatever, start taking jungle here and there, but you don't really take much, you know what I mean? You're not really farming, you're giving it to your carry, right?
Yeah, but again, it depends who you play. But no, supports you totally still want to farm in a way. You never want to take farm from your carry. So if you've got like a single jungle camp left,
right? I mean, like in lane, you're not going to take the lane creeps, is what I'm saying.
No, just in lane.
Right.
It depends. No, so if your carry is about to take one, then you're not going to take it instead. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah, like you only
There's
take
only
it
a
if
few
they're gonna
scenarios.
miss, for sure.
Yeah, so there's a few scenarios. So if you're really close to a big item like a bottle or something, sometimes the carry will let you take one. Um, but then, yeah, so there's actually a lot of occasions where the carry won't get one. So if the carry dies, obviously you want to take over farming.
Right.
And then sometimes the carry will be harassing someone or running away, and it's going to miss one. So then you want to take that as well. You constantly want to be watching out for last hits your carry isn't going to get, because there's actually usually going to be quite a lot of them, especially at lower levels. And if you take those, it's just free farm. So when you're a support, you definitely want to be thinking about farming. But it's not your priority. But if there's free farm, which costs almost no time to get,
like just so
then you always want
your
to get it.
total lane doesn't miss farm. Like if one of them like the carry has to leave or something, you just start farming. I kind of get that, but what I was gonna get into is like going back to the regen items. Wouldn't you think it's like, okay, for this game example, I mean, I can't talk, but you can see they have 3 like people who do heavy magic damage. So if I could go back in time, my first item would be Pipe of Insight, for example, right? Like, wouldn't that be more important to rush than to buy, like, 5 Clarities and 3 Tangos, for example?
Well, in the long run, I think buying, small amounts of regen actually, ends up giving you more gold in the end.
Even as support, because, like, you're not taking... Because I know the lane creeps give way more gold, and occasionally you are going to farm, like you said, But I would say for, like, 90% of the laning phase, you're probably not taking the lane creeps unless you convey, I need 50 gold. Can I just take this one creep? So I just feel like, because in League, we don't, like the supports, we'll actually, like, do damage to jungle creeps and not take it so we can give it away to, like, a carry, for example. Like, we hardly ever farm. We only farm if the carry is going to miss. And I feel like it's kind of the same in this game because the items cost a ton of gold, and you obviously need extra gold for buyback and stuff. So I feel like the support is already like starving for gold, and those regen items are just like you could just play well enough or like safe enough that you won't need it. That's what I think.
Okay, so you can sit under tower and not doing anything, and then you won't need regen. I think it's always better to just buy regen. I think usually you'll end up with more gold in the long run. Okay. But what will also happen is your enemy support will either lose to you because you have more regen, or will have to buy regen to match you. So even if you buy a bunch of regen and you end up with less items at like the 10-minute mark, the enemy support will also have far less items. And that's if they're buying the regen to match you. Basically, whoever runs out of regen first tends to lose the lane, pretty much.
So I think even I want to ask in the situation. Let's just assume that this game I had to go against. I don't remember who their carry is, but like Ogre Mage and like Ogre Mage. Okay. Yeah, like he is so tanky, and I feel like I would never be able to out harass him. So like, is it even worth me buying all this regen and like going up and trying to harass him, or should I just play extremely passive? You know what I mean?
Well, it depends what heroes you have, but yeah, Ogre Magi is one of these ones where, he's getting a bunch of regen for free. I don't know what he has, like 5 base health regen.
Like that's where I just kind of surrender it, and I just try to deny and like harass the person who's trying to take farm, like auto attack them.
Like, maybe. Harassing the person who's you could just go for the carry then. But yeah, usually as a rule of thumb, if you just buy more regen, you'll just go up, massively. And you've also got to be really thinking about how much you're getting from your regen. So you don't want to be careless and just, walk into the enemy creep wave and take a bunch of damage, or let the enemy support hit you a few times, and then, if you take a few hundred damage from that, it might not seem like a big thing, but it all adds up in the end. So you want to be thinking about how much damage you're doing to the enemy relative to how much damage they're doing to you. So if you use a Tango and heal 100 health, and then you manage to do 150 damage to the enemy heroes, and only lose 100 health. So if you're doing more damage to the enemy than they're doing to you when you trade and stuff, then you're just coming out on top. So then the more Tangos you buy, the bigger that sort of difference is going to have. So if you buy 1,000 health's worth of regen, and you do 1.5 times the amount of damage to the enemy as they do to you because you're just harassing cleverly,
Right.
then yeah, the more tangos you buy, the bigger that difference will be. You buy 1,000 health regen, then you're going to make a 500 difference, which puts them really low on health, and you'll probably get a kill from that, which then allows you to buy way more regen, which then suddenly makes a huge difference. You're suddenly a goal ahead of them.
And I know you can also just like
regen.
give your carry some of the items if like for some reason you bought too many or whatever. You can always just hand them a couple tangos. So I guess I can see why it's important. And then I guess maybe the very rare games where you don't actually need to buy any, you just go tranquil boots first on support, for example, whatever.
You'll still want some. So even when I go tranquil boots really fast because I get like 2 kills or something, I still have like 6 tangos.
Okay.
You should always start with like 6 tangos and maybe a clarity depending on who you're playing. Maybe 2 clarities, maybe 3. I buy absolute tons of clarities.
Okay.
But yeah, that's probably the easiest MMR to gain is just buy loads more regen, and then try and do more damage to the enemy than they do to you.
Okay. Now, I paused. I mean, I don't know if you're still watching my screen. I paused it right here because this is one of those situations where I feel like I'm completely useless and there's not much I can do. Like, spoiler alert, they win this game, but like my KDA is, I mean, like I've been playing pretty decent this game in my opinion. Like I've been doing a lot of assists, I guess some warding. I haven't been paying too much attention, but you can see they have tons of map pressure right now, and Slark is like, one of the best like an assassin in this game, right? I don't know how to describe like.
I really wouldn't call him that, but he's powerful.
Well, he can like lock you in there. I don't know, but he can. If he catches one of us off guard, it's basically like we can't do anything about it. It feels like so. Like, what am I trying to do to give us a chance to win this game, or is it already over? Like, how do I? Like, what would you do in this situation? Like, what are you trying? What's your objective? What's your goal?
So the first thing to realize is that sometimes, you just can't win games. So, I mean, depending on how well you play in a game, you can actually change the win rate quite a lot. So I know that when I'm actually tryharding, I can sometimes have like 70% win rates, 80%, sometimes 90%. And then sometimes I'm playing badly, it can go ridiculously low, like 30% win rate or something. But then again, there are 9 other players in the game who are all also, affecting it that much. So if you have an enemy who's like trying much harder than they usually do, then they're going to have a huge win rate and that massively affects that. Or if you have an ally, just one ally who's like playing really badly, then sometimes you just can't win. But in this scenario, I mean it's looking pretty bad. The first problem I'll say is that there doesn't seem to be much vision.
Right, but the thing is, like, how would I even put vision out there if I were to do that? Because I'm just going to die this second I go out there.
Yeah, you got to look at where the enemies are. In this kind of scenario, you kind of want to go together. So even if you're way, way, way less powerful than the enemy, if you take the enemy heroes one at a time,
right,
it's like it's no problem. Like if you run into Hoodwink on their own, even if they're quite farmed relative to what you are,
right?
If you get 5 people on them, they'll just die. So kind of a good idea for this one is to group up, have some teamwork, which at a lower level is kind of less likely. Although, if you just use your microphone and tell people what to do, it's actually surprising how much people will kind of, listen to you. People are on autopilot a lot of the time.
Right.
I know that when I'm playing, I just, when anyone says, guys, let's smoke, I just walk towards them and, we smoke. Because I always just follow what people say. And as soon as you get one person on one team who's kind of like directing, it's better to have a mediocre plan. Like, the direction doesn't even have to be that good of an idea. It's better to have a mediocre plan than, like, no plan, and everyone just splits up. So, when you're behind, you want to kind of group up and try and take them one by one. So, you've got 2 people dead. So, maybe when Rubik respawns, you could buy a smoke and then say to everyone, hey, let's smoke. So, you ping your middle tower, everyone groups up there, and then you go into the jungle. And if you run into someone, you should be able to kill them with 4 people. Rubik telekinesis them. And then everyone just, stuns them, attacks them.
Right.
They won't stand a chance. You guys have tons of stuns. You could stun someone for like 12 seconds.
So in this,
from just you, Sand King, and Rubik.
In this situation, I would, obviously be like, all right, guys, let's group up. But the objective is to get a ward on this cliff, right?
Yeah, a ward would be
And then,
good.
like, the side quest is, we kill Hoodwink because he's right here. but we're not actually trying to kill Hoodwink. Like the whole
all
point
four of you-
the whole point of us is grouping up is to put a ward here, right?
Well, you just want to reclaim the jungle. So yeah, getting a kill, getting a ward.
Okay.
You know, allowing your team to farm, because that's really what it's all about, getting more farm. If you all group up, you know, it tends to be game winning, like when people just play together. Even at my level, it usually, the games wind up to being who has the best teamwork. It's actually surprising how little teamwork people have even at high level. So yeah, I would just buy smoke, say, hey everyone, let's group up, buy some wards, go into the jungle, place a sentry on that cliff when you get near it, and then place the ward. Here's an important thing to note: they have a sentry on that cliff.
Right. Well, I mean, like,
it's kinda
yeah,
like
okay. I didn't really realize, but yeah.
Yeah, but well, you wouldn't know what they have there. But on a tangent, there's kind of like a high-level strat where if you find someone who has a sentry ward, you don't de-ward it. You just leave it there because it's not giving them anything. Well, it depends.
Oh, so it's like you pretend like you don't know it's there, and then they
because
they can't actually tell.
So it doesn't give them any vision unless they've recently placed it. All it's giving is invis detection. But you're playing Mirana, so that might actually be important if you then have a fight that's near it, because you've got invis.
Right.
But a lot of the time when there's not much invis, if you just leave it there and pretend like you haven't seen it. So de-ward the observers if you find them, but just leave enemy sentries on cliffs. What it does is, first of all, it encourages people to put an observer there. Because when people de-ward, they either place a sentry on the cliff, and the sentry gives vision, and then they de-ward what's there, or they place a sentry near the cliff, and then place an observer on top of it, so that they can still de-ward. And so when there's already a sentry there, people are more likely to place another observer, because people don't like to place a sentry on a cliff where there's already a sentry, and it also makes the enemy feel kind of like more safe. So if you went up to that cliff and you place, let's say, an observer and a sentry, and then you see that they only have a sentry there, just leave the sentry, and they won't know that you've got vision there. Because if you de-ward it, they'll know that you've gone up to that cliff and placed some wards, and so they'll know that there's probably a good chance that you have an observer there, or at least have a sentry there, because you just de-warded it. And so they'll then know to go and de-ward again. But if you just don't kill their sentries, they'll think that you don't have vision on that cliff because they have a sentry there, even though you could easily have one. So that's kind of a high-level strat. Just don't kill enemy sentries unless you've got invis and there's going to be a fight there.
So another question I have is there's a lot of like in this game it feels like you guys should group up, but then there's like like Medusa who just wants to her goal is to like pretty much just farm for a very long time, so she can, because like she's trying to get Eye of Skady, whatever, and that costs a lot of money. So like she can't just be grouping up and getting nothing out of it. So like how do I because like sometimes if I'm support, I'm obviously trying to be with my team, but it's like it's man, it's difficult to like know when to fight, because my team will like go in and then they just all die, and then they get mad that like I didn't go in. But our guy who's supposed to, actually do the damage is not done farming. Like, do I just have to like every game tell them like, guys, just like don't fight until they're ready, or like?
Because I feel like that's the best option. Just say it. That's always a good thing to do.
Because I feel like in this game, like even at this position, if we just didn't fight for like 10 minutes, like 10 straight minutes, and just like just tried to let her farm and like didn't engage with them at all unless it was like a free kill, like then we could actually win the game, right? Like that's what I feel like, right? Like I feel like this grouping up and getting nothing done it's just like it doesn't make any sense. But it's like every single game, my team wants to always fight. And they don't care about, like, it just seems like there's no, like, in League, I feel like it's kind of cookie cutter, because you obviously know who needs to farm, and we only fight for objectives, pretty much. There's no, like, just random jungle fighting, I mean, sometimes there is, but it's usually just like, okay, the dragon's spawning, all 5 of us go there. You know, it's like that. But in this game, it's like
It's not as direct. It's difficult to know when a fight is going to happen and
yeah,
who needs to
exactly.
be
But
there.
in like I would say like more than half my games just feel like completely mindless like fighting. And the only time like I said I lose this game, I've been playing okay, but I feel like the only games I like really win convincingly is when I'm Ancient Apparition or Zeus, where I don't have to be anywhere near my team, and I can just cast a global ability because it feels like nobody knows what's going on. Like that's what it feels like every game.
Yeah, I mean, even at my level, it basically does feel like everyone, respawns. And then, I mean, usually you've got 2 heroes
Yeah,
or
see,
1
like,
hero who's
I mean,
just
this is
farming
a
the
good
jungle.
catch, but, like, Necros is extremely tanky. He's got all these tank items. And I swear, like, I think half the game I told him not to fight Necros. I mean, this is a catch. This is lucky. That
No,
they're,
this is an easy kill.
yeah. But, like, typically they would do that in a team fight. Like, they don't realize, like, oh, these people are super tanky. And also, I was gonna go into, so when I play, like some of the better players in my chat will be like, "Oh, why aren't you checking their items?" But I feel like the item direction in this game is like maybe a little bit bland. So I feel like you don't even have to check per se. Like, let's say Slark is all tank items. Like, what difference does that actually make? Like, it's not
Okay,
like
well, Slark's items do actually make a difference if we look at those. I mean, okay, first of all, he's got, Basher, so if you try and TP with a BKB, you will probably get stunned. So that already changes whether or not you can do that. So, or just, actually, yeah, just TPing a tool in front of a Slark. If he has a Basher, he's probably going to stun you, so it's not a great idea. If he didn't have a Basher, it only would be a good idea, so that's a big difference there. He's got Shadow Blade. That's, like, huge, because then you've got to have sentries down, and if you don't have sentries, there could be a Slark there at any time. So
I guess this
Shadow Blade is one that makes a huge difference as well. Then the fact that he has Skadi and Echo Saber, that's pretty important because it means that as soon as he gets one attack onto you, you're going to be slowed and you can't outrun him. So you might have a fight where you want to go near a Slark to do something for some reason, I don't know, and then you think you're probably going to be able to just run away. But then if he's got a Skadi, you need to be aware of the fact that if he then starts hitting you can't outrun him. So that's also a really important item. And then he also has Lifesteal in his passive item. I mean, that's also pretty good to know, because, I mean, if you, like, disable him, and then he gets low onto, like, 100 health, I mean, everyone might think, okay, he's dead. And without Lifesteal, he would be, but then you just got to be aware of the fact that, if everyone else walks away and you just leave the last person to finish him off, if he's got Lifesteal, he can actually just start healing back up. Although that's not going to be a huge difference with that much Lifesteal. It's more like if you're Satanic, you got to be aware of that.
Okay. Well, one thing I was going to ask is, let's just say that, I did that exact same analysis and I figured, okay, like these are actually kind of a big deal. So if I could go back in time and replay this game, like should I have just gotten Heaven's Halberd plus Pipe of Insight and not even get this? Like, would have that changed anything?
Well, I don't play Mirana, so I don't really know what's good on her.
But I mean, like, Heaven's Halberd, it would be, like, the only counter to him, pretty much, right?
Yeah, so if he doesn't have BKB...
we were talking about if I, like, instead of buying Aghanim Scepter, I bought Heaven's Halberd.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't buy Aghanim Scepter on Mirana. Again, I don't play Mirana, but I don't know, it just seems kind of weird.
Okay, let's just say, like, this is generally
Wait, hold on, what does it do? Stake an arrow? Okay. Okay, it does a bunch of damage, basically.
Right. I was just gonna, like, just for the, like, if I wanted a better chance to win this game, I would have to buy Heaven's Halberd, right, against this?
Well, okay, I mean, if you're just thinking about Slark, then sure, if you want to count in, Heaven's Halberd is pretty good. Although...
Because I feel like he's probably the main carry on their team, right? He's, like, the biggest
the most
guy
important thing is vision. So you've got to get sentries down, you've got to see him coming. That makes a huge difference.
Right, okay. Yeah, because the Shadow Blade.
Yeah. I don't know what you'd want to buy, actually. Yeah, you've got to think about the biggest way you can kind of, like, have an impact. So if there's, like, a team fight breaks out, probably the most important thing for you to look out for is when Crystal Maiden uses her ultimate.
Right.
If you arrow her, she can't move. so she'll just get stunned and that's it, cancelled. I mean, yeah, you can do quite a lot of this as Mirana. Well,
Right,
with a
that's
stun.
why, I mean, I can see in this game I was trying to build Pipe of Insight, because, like I was saying, they have a bunch of magic damage. But
Yeah, although it's probably better to put that on someone else, kind of like a tanky hero. Because, well, okay, first of all, it gives all the aura stuff, which is, just as good on anyone. Well, actually, it depends how long they live. If you put, like, auras on a squishy hero and they die, like, halfway through the fight, then you're only getting half the value as if you put it on your tankiest hero. But also, it's better to put it on a tankier hero because, they'll actually benefit more from, kind of like, the magic resistance.
right.
So if you get 50% magic resistance, that means it takes twice as much magic damage to kill you. So if you put 50% magic resistance on a hero with 1,000 health, that means they have to do an extra 1,000 magic damage. If you put it on a hero who has 3,000 health, that means they have to do an extra 3,000 magic damage, so you get more value from that. So it's kind of weird putting Pipe of Insight on Mirana, because she's pretty squishy. Although, I don't know, sometimes it's okay to get like a hood on supports if you are going to get nuked. So,
just
when you have,
personal
like,
use, okay.
Like, I get hood on IO every single game. Although that's more value because one, he has tether, which will heal more based on his regen, so you get more from that. And he's tankier, so you get more from the magic resistance and everything. It really depends how much like of an impact it will make. So if they have kind of like a nuki hero who does a set amount, so Morphling when he does his ethereal blade kind of
Right.
at agility strike or whatever it's called, and that does a huge amount of damage, like 1,500 or something. But then that's it. That's all his magic damage. So if you're only just dying to that, sometimes I like to buy Hood on a support hero who gets one-shotted by some magic combo, and then that takes you from not dying. No, it takes you from dying instantly to not dying, which makes a big difference. But in this one, they kind of have like Zeus, who does a lot of continuous damage.
Right.
So I don't know. It's not as big of a thing because if he doesn't kill you in his initial load of nukes, he can then just keep nuking you. So it's not as big of an impact. So I wouldn't buy Pipe on Mirana. Although
In general,
it depends. I don't know. It really depends. It's better if you were controlling the entire team, it would be better if the Sand King bought it.
Right.
But you're only controlling yourself, so if Sand King's not going to buy it, then maybe it is good for you to get it, if you know what I mean. As in, it's not optimal, but it's better than no one having it. So it depends. What you can also do is, just tell Sand King to get a pipe. Although he's not that tanky in this game, so I don't know. It's an okay item, especially based on their team. It's actually pretty good.
Right.
But
so one thing that I actually probably should have asked you kind of earlier is I was going to ask you about like team composition just real quick because, well, first off, like obviously I'm kind of still learning. Like when I see like during the pick phase, like I see all 5 of their characters. Like I have an idea of where they're going, but like I don't really have 100% certainty that X, Y, and Z is going top lane or bot lane or whatever. You know what I mean? Like in League, I can 100% tell who's the support, pretty much who's going to be the jungler, which lane everyone's going to be. But in this game, it's like where does Crystal Maiden and Slark go? Or like where does Hoodwink and Nekthros go? Or like, how do you...
I think their theme is pretty obvious in this one. Slark is almost always safe lane.
Right, I can understand Crystal Maiden is probably a support in this game.
Yeah, well, definitely. I feel like these compositions, their one is 100% certain.
Okay.
Your one, Medusa, is definitely the safe lane carry. She's the only carry on the team. Sand King's always an off laner. And then I would have said Rubik would have gone 5 and you would have gone 4, and then Deathprop would have gone mid. So yeah, I think these ones in this game are actually pretty obvious, but I mean, as you get higher, actually it gets less obvious because you get people doing weirder stuff. So I'm playing like Gyrocopter support, which is strange, and I see, I don't know, the higher I get, the weirder things I see.
So to go off of this, like, let's say that I saw the other 9 characters on the screen. Like, how do I make this team composition better? I remember queuing up for this game and thinking I was going to win for free, because I'm like, they have no tank, and they just like they're all squishy. It's like, and we have Medusa who has like the mana shield, and I've actually never played her, but I know she can take a lot of damage. And then I know Sand King like can just blow them up with his ulti. I know, and now it's like Death Prophet's tanky. She can just run in there and like kill. Well, she'll just kill them all before they do anything. But then they just like completely destroyed us. Like how, man, like I just don't see like how is their composition so much better than ours, or is it actually just the gameplay?
Well, yeah, first of all, there's a huge amount in gameplay. Like, I have so many games where I'm like, yeah, we're definitely going to lose this, and then we just stomp them. So it hugely depends on how people play.
Well, I know that, but like without actually seeing any gameplay, which composition would you think is better? Like, how can you like kind of go through
that? How do you go through that? That's the good question. So, okay, first of all, what makes... Okay, so there's, you got the different kinds of damage. There's obviously magical and physical. You don't want to invest... I mean, basically, a bad composition is when you invest too heavily in one thing.
So yeah, like if they're all magic.
If they're all magic, resist damage. So let's say they swapped out the Slark for a magical carry and Hoodwink as well. Yeah. And if they do 100% magic damage, that's like the best thing ever. You just buy a Hood, and you're getting like twice as much value. So if you buy Hood in this game, sure, it makes you more tankier to Zeus and Necros. But yeah, then Slark just kills you easily. But if their entire team is magic damage, that means you can just buy magic resistance. Right. That's why you never want to go all of one kind of damage on a team. So again, if you have all physical damage, then you can just, buy something, just armor and stuff. And yeah, if they have all magic damage, you can just buy BKBs, and suddenly they can't do anything for like 10 seconds in the fight. So that's one thing you want to watch out for. Second thing is you obviously have to have like carries and supports and everything. You want to have someone who's going to be good in the late game. Otherwise, the enemy team can just wait and then out-farm you eventually, even if they're doing worse, and then probably win. Specifically this one, I mean, one thing I can say is if you just look at the carries, it's obviously really hard to tell when you've got 10 heroes who's going to win. But you've got Medusa, whose advantage is being really tanky. That's like the main Medusa thing. She just, survives for ages in fights. She doesn't even do that much damage. Like she usually has actually kind of low attack damage, but she's just alive for so long that she just kills everyone.
And then she just has items that make her do damage, pretty much, right?
Yeah. Usually she just does kind of moderate attack damage to a bunch of people for a very long time in a team fight, and she can farm quite fast. But then you've got Slark. And Slark likes to hit people, because every time he hits someone, he steals 3 of their attributes, so 1 strength, 1 intelligence, 1 agility.
Permanently? Or is it just during the...
No, temporarily. Okay. So I think it's... At max level, it's 120 seconds. He takes 1 of each of their attributes and gives himself 3 agility. So... the longer he's hitting someone, the more and more damage they do. No, the more and more damage he does, and the more attack speed he has. So he just escalates. He gets more and more powerful quickly. And then also, they get less attributes, so they also lose health because they're losing strength. So every hit he does means they have 20 less health temporarily. So against Medusa, who's a really tanky hero, Slark actually loves that, because he likes to just stand there and hit her for ages. And Medusa is a hero who lets the enemy hit her. That's like her thing. When you have a Medusa, fights get really drawn out.
Right.
And Slark loves that, because he can just go up and hit her constantly. And, after it goes about 10, 20 seconds, he suddenly gets ridiculously powerful. He's got tons of agility. And then Medusa's health, even if she has huge damage resistance, she's going to be losing health with every hit. So Slark is really good against Medusa. And any sort of tanky hero. Like, he doesn't even need to be doing damage, just eventually taking all of their strength means they're going to die. So that's already a bad matchup.
I see. So I wanted to go into, I guess, a final thing, and I guess this will be about the match directly, is, where was, the biggest mistake that I made during this match? So, obviously, I feel like, we kind of won the lane, the wave has been in the right place for a while. I guess fast forward even more. Because, the wave has been stuck here. I mean, I picked up 3 kills I guess Medusa could have got him. I don't remember.
Yeah, Medusa
It was just like,
fine.
fighting. Sometimes you can't always do that, but like what? I don't know how much you've been paying attention to actually what's going on, but like
Yeah, I haven't actually been watching the game too closely. Well, the important thing to realize is that
because like see,
every
I feel like we
second you're gonna be
smashed
making a
this
mistake.
lane. I feel like we smashed the lane. Tons of
Well,
kills.
hold on. Go onto the scoreboard quickly.
Okay.
Wait, pause the game first. Yeah. Scoreboard. So you've got 3-0-1. That's really good. Medusa's got 1-1-3. That's fine. And then Necros has died 3 times. Everything. So wait, close the scoreboard again, and then go game stats on the left.
What do you want to see?
And then
net worth.
Yeah, let's go net worth. Sure. If you look at the top, you can see that. Well, okay, you've got actually almost the same gold.
I think
as
that's because of
Medusa.
the kills.
Yeah, that's because of the kills. That's weird. But the Medusa actually has less gold than the Necrophos. And what's your? But yeah, you are winning that lane. But in terms of the rest of the game, you're actually losing. You can actually see they have a 1,000 gold advantage right now.
Yeah, well,
So
Zeus is, I think, one of like just the best farmers. Like when he has enough regen, he can just spam Q in the jungle.
Yeah, obviously you can't affect what like the other lanes do. Well, you can if you gank and stuff, but
but that's what that's kind of where I was going. I'm like
sometimes
this game could not be my
lose.
fault for losing, but like obviously if you're gonna rank up, it has you have to find a reason why it was your fault. You know what I mean?
Yes.
At least in League, I have to do that.
If you're better than the average person at your rank, you will go up. So, I mean, and of course, unless you are the top player in the world, every game you're going to constantly be playing suboptimally. You're going to be making mistakes all the time. So, like, yeah, at this level, everyone is constantly going to be doing pretty much the wrong thing, always. Like, even at my level, I'm doing tons of mistakes, like, non-stop. Everyone is. And even at higher levels. So, well, first thing I would have done in this lane, I mean, it's kind of hard to say because you did win the lane.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I would have bought way more regen because you actually started with no regen. And secondly, I would have hit that arrow.
Okay, that's a little too far. I actually remember missing that too. I don't know how I missed it.
So I would have hit that. I can say that with confidence.
Okay.
Yeah. Buy loads of regen. That's an easy one. Buy all the sentries at like 8 minutes in and just block the enemy camps. Because normally at at my level, at about like 8 minutes in, the carries tend to leave the lane and go jungle. Because they're now farmed enough that they can, actually last it pretty well.
When so every time they come into vision, their level updates, right? Like
yeah.
So I would have been able to know Zeus is like way ahead of everyone, right? I would have been able. So I guess I guess I am going mid. So I guess the thing I was gonna ask is, if you were playing this game, would you have noticed that? Like, oh, Zeus is like out of control. I need to go like block this camper. Like, I need to be up here instead, like, because Medusa doesn't need any help. Or like what was the? Because obviously we destroyed bot lane. Because I feel like that's what happened there. But I mean that didn't have anything to do with the rest of the game, obviously. So like, what was the mistake that I made? Like, was it not carrying a ward here, so I could like go here after if it was safe, and then or maybe like come up here and start blocking some of these, or like, what would you have done differently? I guess.
Okay, so first of all, Medusa seems to be fine. So it looks like you can leave her. First of all, the main problem is look at your health and mana. You've got tranquil boots, so you don't really need, to buy any more health regen, and you've got Urn, so that's fine now. Although I would have still bought tangos in the lane. But your mana, you're completely out. So I would buy an absolute ton of clarities and just constantly be using them, because they're only 50 gold, and they give you so much for that. Like, you just spent 1,000 gold on a wizard staff, which does, it does almost nothing. It gives you a bit of mana. And
yeah,
of course
it's because I was rushing
this
Aghanim. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you think of like, if you, instead of that you had bought 20 clarities, obviously you don't need 20, but that would allow you to just constantly be using your abilities, stuns, be doing damage to the enemies for like 10 minutes. which gives you so much value. And if you get kills from doing that, then you actually end up probably with more gold. So yeah, I would get a bunch of clarities sent out to yourself and a bunch of sentries. You want to buy all the sentries when you're position 5 or position 4. It doesn't really tell you how many games.
I was gonna say, I wonder how many are actually in there. Oh,
yeah, we don't have. Buy all of those.
I would say the wards for sure, but for the clarity, I mean, I guess on Mirana it might be a little bit different, but like, I'm not like, this is a 17-second cooldown. This is like the only ability I'm really using. Like, is it that important for me to always have max mana on an ability I'm not even gonna use every time it's up? You know what I mean?
Have. Well, okay, hold on. How much is Sacred Arrow?
100. And I already had, like, that's why I buy this, so I have mana regen. Because I'm not like, you know, I'm not like Zeus pressing Q. You know, like, I
always want to have. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be spamming stuff because your Starstorm, whatever it is only level 1.
Right.
But you always want to have enough mana. You don't want to be in a scenario where it's like you could get the kill if you could leap, use an arrow, and then Starstorm.
Yeah, like if I did have mana here, maybe we could turn it.
Yeah, if you had mana here, you could maybe leap back, earn him, and then Starstorm. Well, probably not. Actually, it's probably not a great idea in this.
Yeah, but like situation. If I had W up, I could use it.
Yeah, you could maybe kill him. It's always worth being like on max mana, just like constantly buy clarities. Okay. Well, not max. You want to always be slightly below max, so that your health, so your mana regen is doing something. So right now you've got 4 mana regen, and if you're on max, it's not going to be regenning anything. But you always want to be in a scenario where you're ready to fight. So yeah, always buy regen.
Okay, that makes some sense for sure.
Yeah,
but that's
usually a huge factor at low level. You always get people who buy like 3 tangos at the start of the lane, and then they just end up getting low on health in the laning phase. And then they don't buy any more regen. They just sort of hang around on low health. But it doesn't end up being that bad because the enemies are also making the same mistake at that level. So everyone, past like the 3-minute mark at low level, everyone's always like out of regen and just hanging around on low health. If one person decides, hold on a moment, I'm just going to buy 6 more tangos and heal up, suddenly they can actually do stuff and just charge at the enemy because they've got way more health. They'll get kills. They'll be able to buy more tangos and items and everything. Just buying more regen than the enemy is like it's so OP. It just wins you games. Obviously, as you get later, it's less value. So buying tangos now is not a great idea because it just doesn't do that much. Like if Zeus hits you with 1 spell, you've got to use 2 loads of tangos. So they do get less efficient as you go on. You don't want to buy tangos like 20 minutes in. They don't do anything. Clarities are probably more useful. I don't know. Mana regen is 1 mana regen is better than 1 health regen by like an absolute mile.
Okay.
And your abilities have like a constant price. So in 10 minutes, it's still going to cost 100 mana to use your arrow. But in 10 minutes, a bit of health regen will be a lot less valuable to you because you'll have way more health and everything does more damage.
Right. But so maybe like 5 minutes ago, I was talking about, you can see their level if you go on the scoreboard when they come into your vision, they'll update.
Yeah.
So when you're playing and you're like trying to gauge, like let's say you won bot lane like I just did, right? Like, see, like now she's farming safely. You can see like the net worth. Actually, she was actually closer to Slark a minute ago. But are you ever like looking at the scoreboard and determining like, okay, this is the lane I need to impact, or like how important is that? Like, because like if I did go and block the camps and stuff like I was saying, and put sentries in their jungle so he can't farm as much, like. Is that more important than what I was doing down here? Like, would that have changed the game, you think?
Well, it depends. What were you doing down there?
I was just, like, getting kills and we were fighting.
Oh, yeah, getting kills is always good. I don't know. I'm usually actually not paying that much attention when I'm playing.
Yeah, because you're just, like, you just know how to play, so you're just playing it.
Well, I don't know. I don't play optimally. I'm kind of on autopilot a lot of the time when I play. In this game, I would just be buying sentries, go into their triangle.
Right, but I mean, like, as a support in general, should you be trying to decide, like, which part of the map to influence early on based on how well the enemy is doing in that lane? Like, if Death Prophet was also level 12, I'd be like, okay, whatever, I can keep, roaming around or whatever. But since Death Prophet's, like, way behind, shouldn't I be concerned, or like, do you not even ever think about that?
I do think about it. It's good. I mean, it's good to know how powerful your heroes are, how powerful their heroes are. It gives you an indicator of when the fight's going to happen, or if they're going to come and gank you. So Zeus is miles ahead, and he's just
Right.
been spotted on a ward. So yeah, the fight's about to break out, and Death Prophet isn't going to be as powerful if she does turn up. So it's always good. It's always good to know how powerful everyone is. But
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's good to just know what everyone can do.
Right.
Have a good gauge of where you need to be. It's kind of just intuition in terms of what you need to do.
So I guess
So yeah, when I
final
buy,
notes. Let's just go to the end of the game.
okay,
Oh, never mind.
the
So
end.
yeah, we
Okay.
lost, and based on the scoreboard, was the was this game entirely my fault? Oh
Um,
shoot, I guess it's
if
loading.
well, it depends. So if I was playing in your place, would I have won? I can't even say certainly yes, even though I'm miles ahead, because the way I play at Immortal might not even be that good at lower levels. It's actually surprisingly like kind of unintuitive. So if I do things which like provide vision and space and stuff like that at a high level, which is really powerful there, people might not even utilize it at a lower level. But no, it definitely wasn't entirely your fault at all.
Okay.
I mean, first of all, you were like the lowest ranked, so you're expected to do the worst, and you got a bunch of kills, bunch of assists on the losing team.
Okay, and then
So
I guess the final thing is like if you can give me like a summary, like a couple things to think about going into my next matches, like what would they be? Like I know one of them is definitely buy more
okay,
regen, even if it's not like health, like make sure it's mana for sure. That
okay,
one.
so let's go. Quick checklist. In the laning phase, always start off with 6 tangos, unless you're like rushing something really specific like brown boots or a bottle. And then always use tangos to keep yourself just below maximum health. So a lot of people like to just use tangos only when they're really low and then constantly stay on half health. And if a fight breaks out, then you're going to lose. So always buy tangos, always keep yourself on high health, and then buy loads of clarities as well. Um, Constantly try and keep the lane equilibrium near your own tower. So don't hit the enemy creeps unless you're going for a last hit, because that will just push the lane towards them. Pull the creep waves if it gets too far forward, and don't pull if it's like already in front of your tower, because then if the equilibrium comes too close to you, your tower will attack them, and it will get pushed to the enemy. Buy a load of sentry wards and go and place those in the enemy jungle. That's really OP, even at like high level. Worst case scenario is the enemy support has to buy just as many sentries to deward them, in which case, it's completely equal. And usually what will happen is one, this like even if they do know the sentries are there and they just deward them straight away, it makes them rage quite a lot. The carries are usually raging at their support, saying, "Oh no, you've got to deward the camps." And also a lot of the time,
Wait, quickly. I'm gonna ask you, like, how important is infiltrating their jungle and blocking the camp? Like how we were talking, like blocking those important camps. Like, is it worth dying for? Like, let's say I put a sentry on all the important camps, but I died. Is that worth it?
I die. Well, oh my god, you should see my games. I always just run into the enemy jungle and die on repeat. It's actually I don't even know how I'm such a high level,
Okay.
but I always yeah, I don't know. It is usually worth it a load. Especially
Okay.
what's a good thing is if you suddenly block 8 of the enemy camps, let's say,
Right.
that costs 400 gold, and then the enemies are then also going to have to spend 400 gold to unblock them all. Well, a lot of the time, what happens is the support won't have just 400 sitting around, because usually when you're playing a support, you constantly spend your gold as soon as you get it on like tiny items.
Right.
And so even if they'll then have to like save up for those sentries, and you'll have this big period where the camps are blocked. It's always really useful just blocking the enemy camps. It's so good. It just makes them rage. Dota's actually hugely a mental game. It makes them give up a lot.
So if I
Um,
were to like other than the other things that you mentioned, if I were to really like take my game to the next level, that what I should
yep.
be working on? Like denying them their jungle? You think?
Loads of people say that's a bad idea, just to place all the sentries in their camps, but I do it, and I've
Okay.
suddenly gone off an MMR when I do it. I'd say that's pretty important to invade their jungle. And well, I play gyrocopter, so when I invade the jungle, I'm constantly looking for the enemy supports. In fights, it's good to know like who you can kill. So on Mirana, you know that Crystal Maiden is probably like the easiest to kill.
Right.
Although, hold on. Wait, what's this game? No, that's a different
no,
game.
I forgot which game it was, and I accidentally closed.
Yeah, that's a different game. So you want to be watching out for who you can kill. So when I play Gyro, I know I can kill any squishy support. I just run at them with Rocket Barrage. So I like to go into their jungle, place a load of sentries in the camps, and then place a observer ward on one of the cliffs, and just wait, and just usually wait for one of the supports to show up to try and de-ward something, and just kill them. But yeah, Mirana, it's not quite as easy. A good place to wait is kind of just like on the top of some stairs. So in the game you were just playing, what I would have done is gone to the enemy triangle and placed a sentry in the small camp near the whatever it's called, the mid lane. Yep. And then placed one in the ancient camp as well. And then placed an observer on that cliff, you know, the cliff in the enemy triangle.
Right.
Which is kind of like near the top.
Yeah.
And then I would have waited on like the stairs for like someone to come up. So if you see like the Crystal Maiden suddenly walking up the stairs, she can't see you. You can see her. It's an easy arrow and maybe an easy kill.
Oh yeah, just try to engage on her. Okay.
Yeah, so with Mirana, you can usually kill enemy supports fairly easy. Another huge thing to watch out for is stacking. Like it takes so little time. If you're running through the jungle and you suddenly see it's the 50-second mark, all you have to do is attack one neutral creep at like 55 seconds in.
I'm actually decent at stacking. For some reason that game I didn't do any of it, but I know of stacking
to do it
a little
like half
bit
the
now.
time.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you're going to go get your own like rune, let's say, stack the ancients. You know, if you're just walking through the jungle, always be watching the timer.
Okay.
And watch out for a stack. Stacking is so good. It basically allows you to get a whole other creep camp, plus more, because they now made it so that you get money based on how much gold the camp is worth or something. So yeah, stacking, that's ridiculously OP. So main 3 OP things, I would say, is just buy tons of regen. That will just increase your MMR hugely. Block all the enemy camps with sentry wards, and just stack whenever you see the opportunity. And that should increase your MMR by quite a bit.
So I do have one more quick question, because sometimes people in my chat, they'll bring this up or whatever. And since you're an Immortal player, you would know best.
Yep.
If you want to get out of low elo in this game, should you only play a carry character, or does it not matter who you play and it's like how you play?
Well, I play support only.
Like, let's say, could you, if you are in like low elo, could you rank up only playing support, or do you think you have to play a carry? Because people in my chat will come in, and I'm pretty sure it's a myth. I'm asking an Immortal player right now to confirm it, but they're like, oh, you won't rank up unless you play carry. Like, go play Void, go play Void Spirit.
Yeah,
or
that's
Faceless Void, or
yeah, no, you can totally rank up as a support.
Okay.
All you have to do. So let's say you're playing position 4. If you play better position 4 than the average position 4 player at your rank, you will go up.
Right.
Like, there's always going to be 2 support players on each team. If you play carry, then you're taking one of the carry's positions. It doesn't give you any advantage. The only difference is that carries definitely have a bigger impact on the game. Okay. Which most people say that's true. Then when you get to higher levels, people are like, actually, no, support has just as much impact, which, to be honest, I don't think is true at all. If you look at the highest rank players, like, they are all carry. Like, when they had separate carry and support MMR, the top carry players were all higher than the top support players. Because, you are giving them more gold, and they are just going to be more powerful.
Right.
But, so if you're playing at, like, if you're at 3,000 MMR, and you start playing like a 6,000 MMR player, regardless of what you play, carry or support, you are going to end up at 6,000 MMR. The only difference is carry will probably get you there faster. But once you reach that point, you're just going to stop. So,
right, okay.
Yeah, if you want to rank up quickly, carry is probably the best way. Like, if I was suddenly put at like 0 MMR, I would just play carry. because I would go up faster than if I were to play support. But no, it's just as easy to get there eventually when you're playing support.
Right.
And it's not even that much slower at all, to be honest.
Okay. Well, I want to thank Mr. Yamzi for coming on. Do you have anything you want to shout out, like, as of right now? And if you have links, I'll post them later. But is there anything you want to shout out? No?
Don't have any links?
Yeah,
Thank
like
you for having
social media? No?
No, don't use social media? Well,
okay.
No, not really.
Well, yeah, thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate, even though it's kind of like impromptu coaching. Like, I didn't have any of this planned. I just was, thinking about it off the top of my head. All right, well, thank you. We'll have to play a normal match sometime.
Okay.
All right, peace.
Bye.
Okay. That's a bit weird at some parts because I didn't plan any of this, but that's gonna go ahead and wrap up episode 26. I definitely learned some things of how I can rank up or play better as support, and that was actually the first time I've ever watched one of my own replays in League or Dota 2, and I wasn't really watching that closely, but I did see, obviously some of the things he was talking about and pointing out. I could see where it was actually a problem. Like, there was like that one moment where I didn't have enough mana to, do whatever. I mean, actually, my W was on cooldown, but assuming it was up, I wouldn't have had enough mana to potentially make a play. So I guess he kind of did point out some of the importance of regen. I kind of wish I picked out a game where if I really did like a harder lane, because we ended up losing that game. I was trying to find a good game that I actually ended up losing. I wish I found a game where the lanes were like close, and if I did have that regen, I actually may have played better. But I did look through a bunch of replays. I couldn't really find much, or at least I didn't spot it. But I definitely learned a lot about support. Comment down below if you're watching on YouTube later what you guys think about, what he was saying. And this is actually an Immortal player. Like he said, I think he was rank 2000 or something. And right now he's 3500. But if you've been a fan of this Twitch or YouTube channel for a while, you've probably, recognized Yamzi. But anyways, that's going to wrap up episode 26, Road to Immortal. Did a little bit of studying today. Maybe someone can come by in the future and we'll do another study session or coaching session. I figured it would be better to do an episode like this rather than getting coached through the game. Like, Kid Trigger coached me, and obviously he knows exactly what he's talking about. But it was more like, oh, just do this, not like why. So I kind of learned about the why. Anyways, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe if you're new here. Leave a like. If you're watching on Twitch and you're not already following, make sure to follow right this instant. We did get a new follower. Fuwa, thank you for the follow. I'm pretty sure I don't have my events list pulled up, but you look new. Anyways, guys, that's going to end it, and I will see you all in the next one.